Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk to you about something that can change about your life forever, or how to never get angry or bothered by anyone. People often believe that anger comes from others, that someone else made them mad, ruined their day, or triggered their emotions. Or triggered their emotions. But the truth is deeper, more powerful, and far more liberating. No one has the power to disturb your inner peace unless you grant them permission. What people say, what people do, and how people behave is outside your control. Your reaction, however, is completely within your control. When someone insults you, the insult does not enter your mind automatically. You interpret it, you attach meaning to it, and you give it emotional weight. It isn't their words that hurt you. It's the meaning you allow those words to carry. If a stranger says something rude, it only stings because you choose to absorb it. If a child said the exact same words, you might laugh. The difference is not the words. The difference is your interpretation. This is why two people can experience the same situation and respond in completely different ways. One person explodes in anger, while the other stays calm, detached, and unbothered. The situation did not change. The people involved did not change. The inner world of each individual is what made the difference. Emotional disturbance is not created by the external event. It is created by the internal dialogue that follows the event. Once you understand this, you begin taking responsibility for your emotional reactions. You stop saying, "He made me angry," or "She upset me." And you start saying, "I chose to respond with anger," or "I allowed that to bother me." This shift feels uncomfortable at first because it removes the comfort of blaming others. But it is incredibly empowering, because once you accept that you are the source of your reactions, you also realize that you are the solution. And that is where your freedom lies. Because if people are the problem, you can never be at peace. But if your interpretation is the problem, then your mind becomes the place where peace is built, protected, and mastered. Your emotions are not just feelings. They are levers of influence. And whoever can pull those levers can guide your actions, shape your decisions, and influence your peace. When someone triggers you and you immediately react with anger, frustration, or irritation, you are essentially handing them remote control to your mind. You are letting them decide how you feel, how you behave, and how you think. And the moment someone else can dictate your emotional state, you lose your power. Think about it. If a complete stranger on the street can say one sentence that ruins your entire day, then they own a piece of you. If someone's opinion can throw you into stress, insecurity, or rage, then they control the direction of your thoughts. Emotional control is not about suppressing your feelings, pretending to be numb, or acting like things don't matter. It is about choosing how much influence someone else is allowed to have over your internal world. When you master your emotions, you master your reactions. When you master your reactions, you master your decisions. And when you master your decisions, you master your life. That is why calm people appear so powerful, not because they are loud, not because they dominate others, but because they are not controlled by others. They can listen to disrespect without breaking. They can walk through conflict without losing themselves. They can face negativity without absorbing. Their power comes from the fact that their emotions are not available for manipulation. On the other hand, people who are easily angered, easily provoked, and easily disturbed are the easiest to control. All it takes is a few words, a little pressure, or a small frustration, and someone else owns their peace. Emotional instability hands over your power, while emotional discipline protects it. This is why emotional control is not optional. It is essential. It is a skill, a discipline, a form of strength that cannot be faked. It is your shield, your foundation, and your personal fortress. When your emotions are yours and yours alone, no one can dominate you, When you regulate your inner state, no one can drag you into their chaos. When you become the master of your emotional world, you become untouchable, not because the world becomes easy, but because you become stronger than whatever the world throws at you. Most people believe peace is something that happens to them. They think peace arrives only when life is calm, when people behave perfectly, when circumstances go exactly as planned. But true peace has nothing to do with perfect conditions. True peace begins the moment you decide that nothing outside you deserves the power to control what happens inside you. Peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of inner stability. Peace is not the silence of the world. It's the stillness of your mind. Peace is not what you feel when everything is easy. It's what you choose when everything is challenging. Every day, life will test you. People will disappoint you. Pressure will rise, frustrations will appear, and unexpected challenges will come. If your peace depends on external conditions, you will spend your life chasing something that can be destroyed in a moment. But when your peace is a decision rooted in your mindset and emotional discipline, no one can take it from you. Choosing peace means choosing control over chaos. It means deciding ahead of time that your emotions belong to you. It means setting the intention that no matter what someone says, no matter what someone does, no matter what situation unfolds, you will respond from a place of strength, not impulse. This choice transforms your life. It turns negativity into background noise. It turns conflict into clarity. It turns insults into meaningless vibrations in the air, not poison you absorb. When you realize that peace is a decision, you stop waiting for people to behave perfectly. You stop expecting the world to be fair. You stop hoping for a life with no conflict. Instead, you cultivate a stable, grounded inner world that no one can shake. Peace becomes a commitment you make to yourself, a personal promise that your well-being is not negotiable, a declaration that your mental space is sacred and cannot be invaded without your permission. This level of peace does not make you passive. It makes you powerful. It does not weaken you. It strengthens you. It does not make you avoid life. It helps you master it. Because when peace comes from within, it becomes unbreakable. Your mind is your most valuable real estate. It is where your peace lives, where your clarity lives, where your confidence and decisions grow. Yet most people allow others, strangers, critics, toxic individuals, and negative voices to live in that space rent-free. They replay conversations, overthink judgments, and revisit moments that should have been left behind. But the truth is, every thought you allow inside your mind is something you permitted. You decide who gets access to your mental space. You decide which voices get amplified and which get muted. You decide whether someone's comments become a passing moment or a permanent memory. When someone bothers you, they don't invade your mind automatically. You invite them in by replaying their words, analyzing their tone, or attaching emotion, meaning to their behavior. And the more attention you give someone, the more space they occupy. Think about how your mind reacts to negativity. One rude comment can overshadow 100 good moments. One small criticism can echo loudly for hours. But this happens because you allow that comment to gain importance. You give it energy. You give it life. Strong people don't waste mental space on small, insignificant things. They understand that their mind is not a storage room for other people's opinions or emotions. They treat their mental space like a protected environment. Only the thoughts that serve them, strengthen them, and elevate them are allowed to stay. When you consciously choose whose words matter and whose don't, you regain control. When you decide that someone's bad mood is not your problem, you reclaim your peace. When you choose not to carry someone else's negativity into your day, You protect your emotional balance. Your mind is not a playground for other people's issues. It is not a dumping ground for their frustrations. It is not a place where every opinion deserves a seat. The moment you stop giving space to negativity, negativity loses its power. The moment you stop giving attention to drama, drama cannot touch you. The moment you stop letting people occupy your thoughts, their behavior stops influencing your emotions. Every day, ask yourself, is this thought worth the space it occupies? If the answer is no, let it go. Release it, replace it, redirect your attention. Your mind becomes peaceful when you treat it like a kingdom, guarded, selective, intentional. You are the gatekeeper, and only you decide who enters and how long they stay. When someone criticizes you, disrespects you, or tries to project negativity onto you, it often feels personal. It feels like they're attacking your worth, your character, or your identity. But in reality, their behavior has far more to do with who they are than who you are. People speak from their own wounds, their own insecurities, their own frustrations, and their own unhealed emotions. What they throw at you is simply a reflection of what is overflowing within them. A person who is genuinely happy has no interest in hurting others. A person who feels confident does not try to belittle anyone. A person who is emotionally balanced does not go around spreading negativity. People project what they carry inside. So when someone disrespects you, it is a window into their inner world, not yours. When you begin to understand this, you stop taking things personally. You stop absorbing their words as truth. You stop giving emotional value to someone else's brokenness. If a mirror is cracked, it does not reflect your face accurately. Similarly, if a person is emotionally cracked, their opinions cannot reflect your worth accurately. Many people are walking around with unresolved pain, carrying anger they never dealt with, insecurities they never confronted, and disappointments they never healed from. When they attack you, they are not expressing their truth. They are leaking their trauma. You just happen to be the closest target. This is why you must learn to detach emotionally from people's negativity. Instead of reacting, recognize what's happening. Understand that their words are not a report on your value. They are a reflection of their internal condition. You will notice that the calmer you stay, the more clearly you see that their behavior never had anything to do with you. When someone insults you, they reveal their character. When someone disrespects you, they reveal their mindset. When someone attacks you, they reveal their weakness. Your job is not to absorb them or internalize their negativity. Your job is simply to remember who you are and refuse to let their behavior define you. The moment you stop taking other people's words personally, you stop giving them power over you. The moment you realize their negativity is about them, not you, you become immune to their attempts to hurt you. And the moment you understand that someone's disrespect reflects their own inner chaos, you free yourself from the emotional burden of reacting. Calmness is not weakness. It is not passiveness. It is not indifference. Calmness is precision. It is the ability to see a situation clearly instead of through the fog of emotion. When you are calm, your mind becomes sharper, your decisions become wiser, and your responses become intentional instead of impulsive. And your clouds judgment, but calmness reveals the truth. When you are calm, you create space, a tiny but powerful pause between what happens and how you react. And in that pause lies your greatest strength. In that pause, you evaluate, you reflect, you observe. Instead of getting swept into someone else's chaos, you step outside of it and view the situation from a position of control. Most people react instantly when they feel attacked. They raise their voice, they defend themselves unnecessarily, or they get pulled into a conflict that doesn't deserve their energy. But this happens because they respond from anger rather than clarity. Anger narrows your perspective. Calmness expands it. Calmness is the state where you can ask yourself, is this worth my reaction? Is this person even speaking from a rational place? Am I responding to their words or my assumptions? Will this matter tomorrow? This self-awareness is impossible when you're angry, but effortless when you're calm. A calm mind understands the difference between a comment that requires a response and a comment that deserves silence. It knows the difference between necessary boundaries and unnecessary arguments. Calmness helps you separate the situation from the story your emotions try to create. When someone pushes your buttons, staying calm prevents them from controlling you. It shows them that you are not emotionally available for manipulation. It sends a message that you own your peace and nothing they say can break your center. Calmness is a language of strength, and people understand it, even if they never admit it. Calmness also protects your reputation. In moments of anger, people say and do things they regret later. But when you remain calm, you speak with intention, choose your words carefully, and respond with maturity. People remember that. They recognize your discipline. The calmer you are, the more clearly you see the situation. And the more clearly you see the situation, the more wisely you respond. Clarity leads to power, and that power grows from calmness. Walking away is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of mastery. It takes far more strength to remove yourself from a pointless conflict than to dive into it. Anyone can argue, anyone can raise their voice, but only a disciplined, emotionally mature person can recognize when a situation no longer deserves their presence and simply walk away. Walking away is an act of self-control, a reminder that you value your peace more than someone else's provocation. It shows that you're not controlled by impulses, that you don't need to win every argument, and that you refuse to waste your energy on battles that lead nowhere. Some people want conflict, not resolution. Some want attention, not understanding. Some want to trigger you, not communicate with you. Walking away stops feeding their chaos. When you walk away, you are not losing, you are choosing. You are choosing clarity over confrontation, elevation over ego, and maturity over emotional instability. There is incredible power in silence, in choosing not to respond, not to defend, not to explain. Some individuals intentionally push your buttons because they want to drag you to their level. They want drama because it gives them temporary satisfaction. But the moment you walk away, you break their script. You refuse to play the role they created for you. Walking away also protects your dignity. Arguments driven by emotion often lead to words that cannot be taken back. By choosing to step away, you protect your integrity and avoid lowering yourself into a situation that compromises your values. You maintain your character even when others lose theirs. It also protects your energy. Every conversation requires mental and emotional investment. When you walk away from someone who drains you, you are investing that energy back into yourself. You conserve your strength for things that matter: goals, growth, peace, self-respect. Walking away is not about avoiding problems. It is about refusing to engage in problems that are not worth solving. It is about recognizing that not every situation deserves a reaction, and not every person deserves access to you. Some battles are won by fighting, but the most important battles are won by not fighting at all. When you walk away, you choose self-respect over self-destruction. You choose your peace. You choose your power. And that single decision says more about your strength than any argument ever could. One of the greatest sources of stress and frustration in life is the illusion that we can somehow control other people. Their attitudes, their reactions, their thoughts, their tone, their choices, or their behavior. But the truth is, no matter how kind, respectful, or patient you are, people will still act according to their own mindset, their own upbringing, their own emotions, and their own level of maturity. You cannot rewrite someone else's character. You cannot force someone to be respectful. You cannot demand emotional intelligence from someone who has never developed it. What you can control is how you respond. And that is where your power lies. The moment you stop expecting others to act the way you think they should, you free yourself from unnecessary disappointment. When you stop trying to control people and start focusing on mastering your reactions, you gain emotional freedom. Your peace is no longer tied to another person's mood. Your self-worth is no longer tied to their opinion. Your happiness is no longer tied to their behavior. People will say things you don't like. People will behave in ways you don't agree with. People will disappoint you, misunderstand you, judge you, or attempt to provoke you. But none of this has to control your inner state. Reaction is your responsibility. Your emotions are your responsibility. Your peace is your responsibility. The most powerful individuals in life are not those who control others. They are those who control themselves. They understand that other people's behavior is a reflection of their inner world, not something they are required to fuse with emotionally. They choose their responses based on logic, principles, and self-respect, not impulse or anger. When you control your reaction, you control the outcome. Instead of exploding in frustration, you respond with clarity. Instead of matching their negativity, you maintain your composure. Instead of lowering your standards, you rise above the situation. This does not mean you accept disrespect. It simply means you refuse to let someone else's behavior dictate your emotional state. You become the steady one. You become the grounded one. You become the unshakable one. No one can force a reaction out of you. No one can make you angry without your cooperation. No one can disturb your peace unless you hand your peace over to them. When you realize that the only thing you truly control is your response, you stop wasting energy trying to change others and start investing that energy in strengthening yourself. And in that shift, you become untouchable, not because people stop misbehaving, but because you stop letting their behavior shape your inner world. One of the greatest forms of emotional maturity is realizing that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Not every comment needs a reply. Not every insult needs a defense. And not every situation needs your full emotional involvement. Life becomes infinitely more peaceful when you learn to evaluate which battles are truly worth fighting and which ones are simply distractions designed to pull you away from your growth, your goals, and your peace. Your energy is limited. Your time is limited. Your emotional bandwidth is limited. Every time you pour energy into a meaningless conflict, you drain the energy you could have invested into something meaningful. Your dreams, your health, your relationships, your purpose. And the sad truth is many conflicts are not real issues. They are ego battles. They are reactions to someone else's insecurity. They are attempts by others to pull you into their emotional chaos. Some people argue not because they seek resolution, but because they seek attention. Some people provoke not because they have a point, but because they crave power. Some people create problems not because they matter, but because drama is their way of feeling important. Fighting with such people will never bring peace. It will only exhaust you. Emotionally strong individuals understand this. They do not jump into every fight. They do not let ego make their decisions. They choose their battles with intention. They ask themselves questions like, does this matter in the long run? Is this worth losing my peace over? Is this person even capable of understanding my point? Will engaging in this make my life better or worse? When you ask these questions honestly, you quickly realize that most battles are not worth your time. The argument you skip is often more powerful than the one you win. Walking away from unnecessary battles doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Some battles cost more than they are worth. Some people drain more energy than they deserve. Some arguments damage more than they solve. Your energy is your currency. I spend it where it brings growth, not chaos. Spend it where it creates peace, not conflict. Spend it where it elevates you, not where it drags you down. When you choose your battles wisely, you conserve strength. You stay centered, you remain in control, and you send a message to the world that your peace is priceless and protected. Drama is a silent thief. It steals your peace, drains your energy, disrupts your focus, and weakens your emotional stability. The more you get pulled into other people's chaos, the more you lose connection with yourself. That's why learning to detach is not only wise, it is essential for your mental and emotional well-being. Detachment does not mean you don't care. Detachment means you care without letting the situation consume you. It means you can observe without absorbing. It means you can be aware without being affected. Drama thrives on reaction. It feeds on emotional involvement. The louder you respond, the deeper you get pulled in. The more you try to explain yourself to someone who is committed to misunderstanding you, the more you exhaust your spirit. The more you try to fix people who are not trying to grow, the more you drain your strength. Detachment breaks this cycle. When you detach, you refuse to participate in negativity. You stop feeding the chaos. You pull your energy away from situations that don't deserve your emotional investment. You create a healthy separation between their issues and your peace. You remind yourself that not all storms are meant to be fought. Some are meant to be avoided. People who constantly create drama are often battling their own unresolved pain. They are addicted to conflict, fueled by instability, or programmed by past experiences that they have never healed from. If you allow yourself to be pulled into their turbulence, you end up carrying emotional weights that were never yours to carry. Detachment is your shield. It protects your mental space. It creates emotional boundaries. It prevents you from becoming a dumping ground for other people's problems. You begin to see things clearly, without judgment, without emotional fog, and without impulsive reactions. And something powerful happens when you detach. People lose the ability to manipulate your emotions. Situations lose the power to drain your energy. Drama loses the fuel it needs to survive. Detachment gives you clarity, it gives you strength, it gives you emotional freedom. Because when you are no longer emotionally entangled in people's chaos, you operate from a place of calm awareness. You respond strategically instead of reacting impulsively. You protect your inner world instead of allowing it to be invaded by unnecessary conflict. In a world full of noise and negativity, detachment is a form of self-respect. It is saying, I choose peace over problems. I choose clarity over confusion. I choose myself over the chaos around me. At the end of the day, your greatest power is not in controlling the world, it's in controlling yourself. We'll never stop presenting challenges. People will never stop having opinions. Situations will never stop testing your patience. But your peace, your emotional stability, your internal strength, those are things that belong entirely to you. You don't rise by having a perfect environment. You rise by becoming stronger than the environment. You rise by choosing peace when chaos is offered. You rise by choosing calmness when provocation comes. You rise by choosing your response instead of reacting on impulse. The truth is simple. You become untouchable the moment you stop letting others control your inner world. No one can disturb you unless you allow it. No one can injure you unless you give them emotional access. No one can break your peace unless you hand your peace over to them. And from today forward, you decide that your peace is non-negotiable. You choose to rise above drama. You choose to walk away from negativity. You choose to protect your mental space. You choose to stay grounded, calm, centered, and unshakable, regardless of what anyone says or does. You become the kind of person who doesn't react. You respond with clarity. You observe with maturity. You detach with wisdom. You move with intention, because real strength isn't loud. Real strength is calm. Real strength is steady. Real strength is the ability to remain unbothered in a world full of noise. Starting today, you stop handing your power to others. You stop allowing their moods to shape your mood. You stop letting their chaos invade your peace. You take back your emotional authority. You reclaim control over your reactions. You rise into a version of yourself that values peace over ego, clarity over conflict, and purpose over pointless battles. And when you live like this, unbothered, steady, emotionally disciplined, you don't just survive. You ascend, you elevate, you evolve. You become the kind of person nothing and no one can shake. This is how you never get angry or bothered by anyone. Not by changing the world, but by mastering yourself.